The death toll is now moving highly fast due to the wildfires, they say. Wildfires, or not so wild, manufactured fires in Maui rose to now 93, making them the deadliest fires in 100 years in U.S. history, they're now saying, as now concerns grow about the effectiveness of the island's emergency alarm system. Yeah, there was no alarm system. What happened? There was not even a warning. Well, the number of fatalities is expected to climb further as authorities now continue to search and rescue efforts, as now Hawaii Governor Josh Green has said at a news briefing that just 3% of the area has been, searched. Yeah, they're not searching. And I even heard the military, and I'm going to ask Sheila Walker coming up next, is turning away people who are trying to give aid to the citizens over there. This is just incredible now. Now they're saying 12 more cadaver dogs are needed help, all this stuff. And Hawaii lawmakers are responding to rising worry over the prevented alarm systems alerting people in Lahaina. And you can just bet your last dollar that, you're going to be hearing about the global warming is now starting all these fires, that we started in, and we heard about in Canada first. Then it went over to the northeast of the United States, Arizona, and there's one more place I'm going to tell you about. Now, how is the Uncensored mainstream media reporting on this? Well, good question. Let's see what they're saying about this before I even continue, because I no longer have a tongue to continue to bite. It is that frustrating. Here it is. This is CBS telling us just complete lies and maybe fabrication of the wildfires. Check this out.
And the death toll from the devastating wildfires in Maui continues to climb.
At least 93 people are confirmed dead. It's already the deadliest U.S. wildfire in more than a century, and hundreds of people there are still missing.
The once bustling, historic town of Lahaina is now the site of a desperate search for the missing. On Saturday, Hawaii's Governor Josh Green surveyed the damage as state and federal teams combed through neighborhoods reduced to ash.
It's an impossible day for us all, and our hearts are with Maui after they've suffered this tragedy.
Some residents waited in traffic to return home for the first time, only to find they had nothing left.
I have four children, and 3 of them lost their home.
My place is burned down completely to the ground.
What are you going to do?
I haven't figured that out either.
Many survivors on Maui are demanding answers about why the state's extensive siren system failed as people fled for their lives.
It was fight or flight with no warning whatsoever.
I think really what it was an incredibly overwhelming circumstance.
This couple from California was saved by locals just minutes after their car caught fire.
There was this couple.
This Hawaiian couple. They saw our car on fire.
And they let us get in with them. And that was they saved our lives.
Tourism accounts for nearly 80% of Maui's income. FEMA officials estimate it could cost $5.5 billion to rebuild.
We're going to ask Sheila Walker herself, because I think she might have a better perspective than I do, as we end Real Deal Headlines right there and then. Okay, let's welcome to the show here, or welcome back here, Sheila Walker, live from Hawaii right now. Sheila, thank you for being here tonight.
Aloha, Dean. Thank you so much for having me. You are a true Olympian. I agree with you on that one. So thank you so much for standing up with us and for helping me get the word out for what's happening on Maui. Because honestly, the truth is horrific.
Well, let's start from the beginning here, because this kind of took place over the weekend. A lot of these big incidents do, when people are not, nothing's making the front and forward headlines like a Monday morning would. So why don't you walk us through, if you could, and then we'll catch up to present day now, of when this happened, how it was reported, and just kind of the who, what, where, when, and how, and why of this entire incident here, if you would.
But it actually started last Tuesday on the 8th. So it wasn't over the weekend. It's just that no one heard about it until the weekend, because they tried to cover it up until then. There was no coverage. I'm just going to give myself a little better lighting here. There was no coverage. And it happened the day of Tuesday, the 8th. And the fires, there's wildfires here that go off every once in a while. And they had told us that the wildfires were contained 100% in Lahaina. So everyone felt like it was safe. No one was really at high alert. No one thought there was anything to worry about. There was high winds that day, and they closed the school because of the high winds. but they did not give us any idea that there was something extremely wrong or that there would be some sort of extreme horrific incident like this. So we had no forewarning whatsoever. And what I was going to say before is that this is not a wildfire tragedy. This is a infrastructure failure, a complete failure of our preparedness plan, and a lack of communication and a lack of leadership here. That's what happened. That's why their death toll is going to go higher and higher and higher.
Okay, before we get into the just the minutia of it all and the exact specifics, where are you right now, and where were you this entire week, kind of in proximity to this incredible disaster? Because a lot of people have asked me, Sheila, I don't know if I told you, they've come to me and say, "How's Sheila? Where is Sheila? Is she okay?" So maybe you can maybe answer some of those questions for a lot of people who are concerned about you, because you have a lot of people in your corner here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for your concern and your prayers. Literally, Maui needs your prayers now more than ever, because prayer is the only thing that's going to get us out of this. Honestly, it's the grace of God that's going to get us out of this mess. I live in a town called Kihei, which is about 20 miles south of Lahaina, but Kihei also had its own fire going off that day or evening. And so did Upcountry, if you're familiar with the island. Upcountry and Kula also had a fire going on. So 3 totally separate areas on the island. Firefighters were pulled to 3 different areas to try to mitigate these fires. And my neighborhood was evacuated at 11:30 at night on Tuesday night. And at that time, I had absolutely no idea that Lahaina was already burnt to the ground. Lahaina had lost power in the afternoon. They had lost electricity. They had lost cell service. So I had friends that were texting me from there when they had sporadic service, trying to get any information. They would say, "Hey, Sheila, can you check the news, see what's happening? We have no electricity or service. Is something going on?" They didn't even know there were fires going on. They were just assuming. And then some would see smoke off in the distance, and they were saying, "Hey, there may be a fire over there." The news, absolutely no information, no updates, nothing from the press. The alarm sirens did not go off. Our security system, our infrastructure failed. Our tsunami sirens that they are tested once a month, every Monday, on the first Monday of every month. They're tested. They go off all the time for our testing, but they couldn't go off for this incident. I don't understand the failure. They're blaming it on some malfunction. So no one was alerted to this fire. No one knew. And I felt helpless. I couldn't get the information back to my friends who were in Lahaina. And I also myself, when my neighborhood got evacuated with an Amber Alert. And I don't know how on earth an Amber Alert came across my phone to tell me to evacuate. But then there was no real information. Where's the fire coming from? How fast is it moving? How large is it? How big of a threat is this? And so half of my neighbors did evacuate. I packed up my truck with everything. My Ohana, my family that I live on the property with, a large property with several people, we in the end decided not to leave at 4 a.m. that morning. We decided that we thought the threat was over. There's only one way in and out of everything. And so you're going to either drive right into it and you're going to be incinerated, or you're going to drive out and the fire is going to chase you. So this whole island is a fire trap, and this is something that I fight for all the time on the island, is more infrastructure and more fire stations.
Now, you told me earlier before the show, I believe it was last night, that this is equivalent to a 9/11. And when I heard that, and then I'm hearing what the new police chief, who just coincidentally is from Las Vegas, is telling me that the fire melted the metal. And then I saw some of the infernos. We're talking about, with no sirens and no warnings here, we're talking about entrapment on the island, and just how much damage. And is there other threats of the fire now that is going to be spreading throughout certain regions of Hawaii, or is it contained? Because I don't even know how many firefighters you have, or if there's any U.S. military that is helping this. Because I've heard just quite the contrast that they're not. They're pushing away aid from people. Can you speak on that, Sheila?
Absolutely. So let's unpack your question there, because you have quite a few questions in there.
Yes.
So for one, the fires are not contained. There are still smoldering hot spots in Kula, the upcountry and the gulches. Gulches are the big the valleys that are filled with brush. They're hard to get to, and so the firefighters are still trying to put out the hot spots in the gulch. And you're seeing here in the images, this is the heart of Lahaina town with the banyan tree and some of these historical buildings that were there. That's one of the elementary schools that was destroyed. So all of this is just destruction to the point that it does look like a war zone. It absolutely looks like a war zone. And I lived in Manhattan, downtown Manhattan at 9/11, and it looks exactly like the ash and dust, the pulverized dust that I experienced in 9/11. There's just literally nothing left of these buildings, these homes, these generational families that own these properties. And it's beyond devastating, not just the lives, but the livelihoods, everything it encompasses. People's personal history is here. 5 generational homes, Hawaiians who've lived here forever and ever and ever. This town, Lahaina, was the seat of the Hawaiian kingdom. It was the capital of the Hawaiian kingdom. The queen, Queen Kaahumanu, lived here in this space, and this was her palace. This was her land, and
okay. So let's
there's
get
a lot of Hawaiian history here.
Let's get down to the brass tacks of the why. Because we heard about you're telling me the alarm system didn't work, and a lot of people are saying we had no warning. This is just incredible. I mean, I remember when what was it? There was a accidental glitch in the system when they thought a nuclear reactor was warning. What was that when Trump was in the White House just a few years back? That was interesting. Mm-hmm. But Hawaii is inundated with the United States Navy, last time I recalled, and we've spoken about this on countless times since you've been on. What are they saying? Why? I mean, is the governor Green, is he talking about why this happened at all? Or are they just because Joe Biden just won't even mention it, nor will the White House? They're ignoring it. So nobody's talking about why this is happening.
Absolutely being thrown under the rug. Cause unknown, another anomaly because of the hurricane that's way off, the southern shore of the island that wasn't really affecting us at all. But somehow that hurricane caused everything to ignite, and high winds. I mean, certainly the winds in certain areas were high that day, but somehow that afternoon, the winds through through Lahaina, turned into something otherworldly. It wasn't even
otherworldly.
It wasn't even like hurricane winds.
We saw this 3 years ago in 2020. I believe it was fires now, and during the firenadoes, we saw fires in like Beverly Hills, but they were just on a palm tree and nowhere else. In this case, you sent me a video, just like 9/11. Everything was melted, right? The steel was melted, but the trees seemed to be just fine. The trees seem to be just fine.
And certain specific buildings are totally intact with no char marks, but everything around it for blocks and blocks is just decimated. So I don't know. I'm not a fire expert. I have no idea. But it just doesn't seem possible that the winds blowing like that could allow a freestanding building to just be perfectly remaining intact with no char marks.
Now, what type of people have lived, I should say. I don't know if they're going to live there anymore, in Maui. I've heard reports upwards that Oprah Winfrey and some of her productions out there lives there. Very well-to-do, affluent area. Some of the well-known musicians. Just exactly what type of demographic are we talking about that are now victims of a heinous wildfire? We'll go with that just for a minute, Sheila Walker.
Okay, so you can't really just say it's one demographic because Lahaina is very eclectic, but there are multi-generational homes and homesteads. That means that the original Hawaiians have lived there for years and years and years and passed down through their family homes. Mick Fleetwood also owned the very popular restaurant Fleetwood, so he had a business there that's leveled to the ground. So it's both. It's both. Hawaiians who've been here a long time, outsiders who've come in and made this their home. So I don't really think it's fair to say that 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 this was a calling of a certain demographic.
Sure,
because
yeah.
because it really encompassed everybody, and everyone was able to have a coexistence and respect for each other in this tiny little, very, very close-knit town. This whole island is very close-knit, and let me be clear that everyone here knows someone either who died or someone who lost a home. It was either a friend or a family member. Every single person on this island is affected. No one says, "Oh, I didn't know anybody over there." That doesn't happen. It doesn't exist. Like, it's too small of a community. There's only 160,000 people who live here full time, and really, if you've been here more than a few years, you know everybody, and that's also what makes it so heartbreaking.
And a lot of people really don't really understand or know about the demographics in Hawaii. I mean, the people over here in the main land of the states here, they just know Hawaii as a tourist capital, and I'm sure that's going to take a hit. Or the natives. And it's very interesting how you said that the original queen of Hawaii, because a lot of people may not know, like Scotland and other countries and regions around the world, they had their own royal family before they became part of the U.S. And this is incredible, because this is at a time when that royal family has been trying to get sovereignty back to Hawaii. Now, this is something interesting. I'm going to show you this, Sheila, because I don't want to play this without you seeing before you take off there. And I have one more question for you, but this is something I noticed, and somebody shared this with me. And this was just, I believe, a few weeks ago, or was it? Check this out real quick, and then I have something to follow up with. Here it is.
When we need to take a look at a large area quickly, a disaster like a forest fire or flooding, we have limited and often expensive options. An aircraft can only fly up to 18,000 meters above the ground and has a limited viewing window, and it costs a lot in fuel and preparation. Satellite is another option, but we have to wait until it's in the right position over the Earth, not to mention the expense. High-altitude balloons are low-cost and rapidly deployable compared to aircraft or satellites. When we pair them with an imaging system, we can quickly look at an area of up to hundreds of square kilometers within hours. The balloon can be launched by hand and soar to a height of 20 to 40 kilometers, then pushed by constant irregular stratospheric radius on a straight trajectory. A normal radar needs a very large antenna to get a higher resolution image. Not practical for a balloon. But SAR uses a composite of many low-resolution images taken rapidly within a certain time to build up a larger, high-resolution image. We can even get the system back with an auto-deploying parachute combined with a GPS that enables us to recover the radar. This project is the first step towards equipping the system with a data link so we can get real-time pictures from our eye in the sky.
So basically, all these balloons we've been hearing about, they seem to scan the area, the radar, and before impact happens. And you're saying, well, what does that got to do with anything? Well, let me show you this. This was just not too long ago in Hawaii. Well, here it is. U.S. won't shoot down balloon spotted off the coast of Hawaii. Well, isn't that interesting? And to follow that, here it is.
Honolulu. Casey Live live downtown. And Casey, can you see the weather balloons out there?
I can. In just one moment, we're going to point you up there to them. But yes, we've been getting a lot of calls in, understandably so. We actually got a lot over the weekend when some folks that were out at the Honolulu airport spotted this. Now on the windward side, they also spotted them. And then this morning, we were able to see them very clearly. Try to look right now up above where we are. We're in downtown Honolulu, kind of pointing towards the Poly. And as John zooms in, you'll be able to see it up there. And it is rather eerie because it's moving around a lot. It's kind of just hovering there. And you've got to think that it's pretty big to be visible from this far down.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm ready to solve the puzzle, and I think Sheila is too. Before this happens, here's this is what, Canada experienced not too long ago. Mm-hmm. This little thing here, this little plane with a laser pointer for something called direct energy weapons. None dare call it conspiracy, Sheila, but I think we understand that these weather balloons from NATO, mind you, are burning things because there's evidence in certain places, CCP, all kinds of heinous things all over Hawaii. Let's talk about this before you ride off into the Hawaiian sunset, Sheila.
Good. Thanks, Dean. So I think that reporter said it perfectly. He called it eerily. He said this is very eerie. And so even the reporter knows, even though he doesn't know what he's saying, he gets it. Like something's not right, and that's what's happening here on the ground. Even the very liberal people who wouldn't normally consider things like this, they're saying this isn't right. This storm wasn't right. They've lived here their entire lives, and they've heard their grandparents' stories. They know storms like this don't happen here. Fires like this don't happen here. If something is wrong, and they're beginning to question. And so my number one question would be, how many of those homes had smart meters on them?
Well, there's a lot of questions that
that's something to check out. So
I
mean, we can go on and on and on with the unanswered questions, and believe me, I have a lot of them. And those weather balloons, if they're there to help us predict the weather, why didn't they help us when this hurricane situation?
My conclusion is they were scanning the area to see which area is going to be the most effective to hit. But Sheila, before we have to move on here, and I know you have a lot of packing, and you got to be I guess you can't rely on governors or anybody out there except for yourself and your community. But before you take off here, what do you want to get across now to a global audience that is watching this?
Thank you, Dean. Thanks for giving me this platform to speak out for Maui and the people of Maui, because we are hurting. People here are devastated. Our last report was we just found a young family of four, a mom and dad and two kids, and they're just charred in their car trying to escape. So that was the latest discovery of a small young family that perished needlessly. This is such a waste of life. So please, number one, please pray. The power of prayer is going to be the number one thing that helps us out of this. We need your prayers more than anything else. That's the biggest gift you can give. And if you feel compelled to donate, you can donate to CalvaryMaui.com. That's a church organization that has an amazing food pantry, and they're distributing food and distributing to the needy.
That's the most important.
And they are amazing. And they're affiliated also with MauiFoodBank.org. So it's CalvaryMaui.com and MauiFoodBank.org. Those two organizations are quality, and your dollars will go directly to the people where it's needed. Please do not donate to any of the big government agencies. That will get caught up in red tape, and your money will never go anywhere.
And that is the answer: localization and decentralization. Sheila Walker, it is a miracle that you are on. You're just on with us here tonight, and you are on the lookout. So please be safe. And I want to have you back for a quick update as this fiasco continues to grow.
Perfect, Dean. Thank you so much. Thank you. Stay blessed.